Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go.
Midoriya and Uraraka continue their training since they have a week off for the sports festival, and they've gotten a lot stronger together as well as growing closer. At this point, being in a full blown committed relationship, they know they're young, but who cares? This is a show to anime. People get together this young anyway. And at this point in time, Uraraka power level is finally able to reach that of over 55, with Midoriya not being able to grow that much, and the both of them still hoping to someday be able to catch up to All Might as he's showing off this new technique, which he dubs the Kaioken that he was taught by Master Goku, and he is shocked at the fact Master Roshi was a wonderful teacher and he was amazing, but Midoriya sometimes wish he trained under Goku as well, but maybe he could just pick it up from Goku when he goes there. As he goes up, and they know, as Uraraka would tell Midoriya, hey, when it comes to the sports festival, relationship or not, you're going to be my enemy, and I'm going to beat you there. As Midoriya would tell her, he'd rather not have it any other way. It'd seem disrespectful if he holds himself back because of you. As Uraraka would respond, what do you mean holding back? No, as Midoriya said, no, I didn't mean anything by it. I'm just a lot younger than you. Yeah, for now, as Uraraka herself keeps that in mind, as she splits off from Midoriya for the 3 weeks, since she take her training to overdrive, she picked up something from All Might, unawares from Midoriya, and Uraraka thinks this might be enough to put her on top of Midoriya. As a little time skip go by, and they actually get the formal announcement from the sports festival from Azawa himself, and he would explain what it actually is. And this is a way to make your marks on the world before you become officially licensed heroes. And not only that, a bunch of agencies are also going to be tuning in since this event is staying there bigger than the Olympics now. So you might be able to make a little money on the side also, as well as getting actual proper hero training. As they all get rather excited, as Midoriya thinks to himself, "This is my chance. This is my chance to say am here." As All Might goes to get both Uraraka and Midoriya for lunch, as he treats them to something a little bit more deluxe, he once again thanks Midoriya for the fact that he can now be a hero for much longer. He might even be a hero to the day he retires, since he doesn't have to retire anytime soon at this point. But he still tells Midoriya that this is your opportunity to become great. Your opportunity to show the world that you're my successor, to be the next All Might. As Midoriya been pondering about this, as Midoriya say, All Might, of course I'm your successor, but I don't want to be the next All Might, just like Kid Danger didn't want to be the next Captain Man. I want to carve my own path. I want to be the hero where people can look at just like you and people can smile. I want people to know just because I am here and I'm around helping people, that villains won't harm them. As All Might begins to cry, as he knows for a fact he definitely chose the right person for the job. As Midoriya would ask, why are you crying? As Uraraka say, you're obviously still dense. As he says, nothing. I just know you're going to make a great hero someday, young Midoriya. As All Might wants will eventually leave, and he continues doing more hero work since he hasn't been able to do this much in years. So he keeps constantly going. He keeps constantly going overboard to the point where even the teachers are like, "All Might, is it your course limit going to run out?" As All Might will respond, "Oh no, you don't have to worry about that little tidbit anymore. Let's just," as he lifts up his shirt in front of Azawa and Principal Nezu, your your injury, it's completely gone. Did you take one of those beans from Castle Court? They actually work? As All Might said, shh, we don't want any picky ears here in this, but yes, these beans, that technology, young Midoriya is a true genius. As they will all keep that in mind, and Principal Nezu rushed to Midoriya to attempt to get an exclusive contract with UA. As Midoriya would actually disagree with that, as he said, these beings could help a lot of people. It wouldn't really make sense for me to exclusively have on a hero agency. As Azawa Azawa will be proud of Midoriya for turning this opportunity down, since it could have made him a lot more money in the long run. As he knows the future of heroes are in fact going to be bright. To the point where we get to the time of the Sports Festival and they're all suiting up and gearing up. As Bakugo goes up to Midoriya and tells him, I don't care how strong you are or how close you are to All Might, I will beat you. All of you. From this point forward into this Super Festival, and you're all my competition and you're all my enemies. And I'm not gonna hold anything back against any of you. Do you hear me? As some people would think, they might take offense, but they all began yelling that they're going to win. As as Todoroki, Bakugo, and Midoriya all walks out with smirks on their faces, knowing this is going to be a good competition. Knowing this is going to be a good competition this year. As the first as the first obstacle of the Sports Festival would begin, with Bakugo actually once again messing up his speech, as well as Midoriya coming in, and he actually made one better, being able to inspire everyone once again. As the first match would actually be a race, but this isn't any normal race. Midoriya would notice there's a bunch of robots, there's a whole minefield, and there's a giant cliffs. As he would cry out loud, "How the heck is any of this legal? We're all teenagers." as as President Mac and Natsu would answer on the phone, well, you did sign the contract, so if you guys die here, not only do we have a residential healing here, you won't have to worry about proper injuries thanks to Capsule Corp. As Midoriya will begin to facepalm, as he's like, I don't think I Dr. Sensu beam strategy do very well. As someone who was watching this, wait a second, those beams are legit? I thought they was just street rumors. As someone on the monitor tell Shigaraki, hey, at all costs, get me a few of those beans. As he says, of course, master. As the race will officially begin, and Midoriya, holding himself back to at least give the other competitors a chance, he noticed a pink blur zooms right past him as Midoriya would forget, wait a second, zero gravity, she can make herself lighter. As Uraraka begins to flies off, as Midoriya going full power in base without using one for all, as he rushes on Sorcerer, but he's struggling and keep up as he sees someone flying right behind him. As Midoriya is genuinely surprised that Bakugo, even without Ki, well, technically he does have Ki since all Corks is powered by it, but he's somehow managing to keep up with him and Uraraka, as well as Todoroki right behind him. Looks like my streams have had an effect on Bakugo as well. As Midoriya, having no choice, uses his full cow 10%. As he begins rushing towards Uraraka, as Uraraka can see him nearly catching up, as she says, sorry, Deku, but I really want to win this here. As Midoriya will look up, as well as Bakugo, as they would all stop in midair. As quickly Todoroki would jump over them, catching a few of the robots that was in his path, and completely avoiding them. As Bakugo and Midoriya ends up getting hit by a few, losing their first and second place spots, as a few people rush past them. As Midoriya would tell Uraraka that was a dirty trick and it was a bit annoying. As he begins to use 15% of one for all, take it off in flight once again. As Bakugo is also getting his third place spot back. As Uraraka Uraraka completely flying over each of the minefields as people in the crowds, I didn't know her quirk allowed her to fly, as they will all remark, hey, don't she and that green hair kid have similar powers? Of course not. Nezu, Nezu will say, her quirk is zero gravity. She's able to make her body or anything she touches 0 degrees, so she's not affected by any of the gravity of Earth right now. As they will all begin cheering for Uraraka, as Uraraka never experienced any of this before, as she allows it a little bit to go to her head, which allows Deku to surpass her. And she's like, oh crap. And she begins taking off once again, getting a little sick from overusing her quirk on herself. But she doesn't want to go up. And they both cross the finish line, tying for first, while Bakugo is getting second and Todoroki gets third. With the rest of the events going the same as in canon. As Bakugo is furious, he got second place. He could have even tied with Midoriya. And Todoroki is a bit annoyed that he came in third, but in the next round he knows he's gonna take on He's gonna take on Midoriya and get his first place title back. As the second round would actually begin. But President Mike would explain it's actually a cavalry battle, and you guys are going to have to team up with the first place winners, since they never had a tie in UA history before. They would explain that it's a team battle, and since you both tied for first place, you're each going to be worth 5. You both are going to be on the same team, and you're both going to be worth 5 million points each. And that makes it a little harder for the other competitors, and a little easier, because even though you guys still win in first place, if somebody takes one of your headbands, especially the second or third place users, they can highly surpass you and leave you guys with only 500 points. 5 million points. As they will all be shocked, as Uraraka would admit, maybe I should have went for fourth place. As Midori would give her a little pep talk. And she says, we got this, we're in the same team. No, wait, but who's going to be our competitors? As they would run to Ida, as Ida would actually disagree, saying, I already told you guys, just like in the locker room, you're my competition right now, and I want to beat the both of you. As they will begin panicking and crying. As thankfully for them, 2 of their peers had common interests. Tokuyami, who simply wanted the first place advantage and wanted to help out Midoriya and Uraraka, knowing they're powerful. And someone else who keep calling her visions her babies, which is kind of weird, that you will point out. A pink hair girl named Mei Hatame would want to show off her adventures to everybody, and she thinks, hey, if I'm in the first place spot, everyone's going to be watching our team. As Midoriya would say, well, that's kind of picky of her, but he doesn't have time to be exactly picky right now, since everyone's going to be gunning for them. As they're still a bit horrified at the prospects, even though they're stronger than most of the people here. He still doesn't have much confidence, as well as Uraraka. No, not like almost 100 to 200 people is going to be coming after them at full force. As the tournament would begin, as President Mike will yell out, go, in order to help everyone out. This time, Uraraka is on top. Uraraka is on top this time. She makes herself 0 degrees so they can move around a lot faster, as she's riding on top of Midoriya back. As some people begin teasing her, knowing they're in a relationship, as she's sitting on top of their neck, as her face begins to blush pink, as Midoriya would say, hey, Uraraka, get in the game. We can't really have any distractions right now. With Mei using her visions, as Midoriya would be shocked, would grab onto both Midoriya and Tokuyami and put them both in the air, as she's showing off a multitude of her adventures, as Midoriya begins to get a little motion sickness, as she's like, oh crap, this is not the right what if. This is not the right what if. I'm not supposed to be a dragon slayer here. Why am I getting sick? as she began showing off a multitude of her ambitions, and she shot off a giant electrical net at a team that was coming towards them. As Prince Mike would say, wait a second, is that even allowed? Well, as long as she doesn't kill anyone or severely injure them, it should be fine. And she even eliminated a few teams because their headband holders kind of touched the ground, and that was strictly against the rules. As she begins to have this maniacal laugh, as as Uraraka and Midoriya, and even Tokiyami is a bit horrified for her, noting, "Wow, women engineers really are horrifying." As two of their biggest competitions began running at them, both both Ida team with with Todoroki being on top, and Bakugo as they hear massive explosions. As Midoriya not knowing what to do, not knowing what to do exactly, he begins to power up, activating one for all at 20%, shooting concussive air blasts at them, sending them both back. It's just like Midoriya have never been able to do this before. As Bakugo luckily signed something up, his gauntlets. As All Might would say, no, young Bakugo, you could potentially hurt people surround them. Oh, please, we both know how powerful Midoriya is. This isn't going to do anything to him whatsoever. Yeah, but how other people surrounding them? Don't. As he pulls the needle, and they just see a massive wave of explosion energy while Todoroki, knowing how powerful Midoriya is, also sends a massive concussion blast of ice. But this time, Uraraka is the one who's to do something about it. As Midoriya is shocked, as she yells out, Kaioken. And she sees a giant pink energy wave flying at the attacks, and everyone sees, kind of feels light as the light is nearly blinding them. As they are shocked at the amount of power this young girl had, and she completely wipes away the explosion and able to protect everyone around them as the crowd falls silent as the alarm for the test ends. And once again, Midoriya and Uraraka are tied for first place. As Midoriya is looking at her, whoa, I had no idea. I had no idea you had that. And she says, "Yeah, I told you, Midoriya or Deku, I'm going to beat you here." And Bakugo is a bit angry, but he sees the power that Uraraka had. And instead of calling her a name, he calls her Uraraka for the first time, her real name for the first Otrako Uraraka for the first time. And everyone is shocked as she's earned his respect, as well as Midoriya. And even Todoroki gives her props as she begins blushing a bit, and everyone goes and cheer for her. And even Midoriya is shocked that, wow, this sports festival might not be a win for me after all. I'm going to have to go all out against her. Well, I was planning to anyway, but whoa. As a third battle to eventually begin, as the first battle is actually 1v1s, and Midoriya is like, oh, I feel sorry for most of the people I'm going to fight. As his first battle is actually versus some kid with purple hair. As Midoriya asks him a question as their battle begins, he notices he no longer has control of his body. As he closes his eyes trying to get it back, he sees the vestiges of one for all, and a huge shockwave of energy of wind begin pulsing out as he breaks free of central mind control. As he begins to rush towards this kid, knock him out of the ring before he can say anything else. As now that the match is over, Midoriya asks, "Hey, what the heck was your powers?" As he says, "Mind control." As Midoriya says, "Whoa, you could be like the greatest secret agent or like the greatest spy hero ever." As Shinso, he never had anybody, you know, compliment him. Everybody just assumed he would use his powers prevalently, but This motivates him in a new even Aizawa keeps an eye on this kid. As the next notable fight once again trains here, and that's Uraraka versus Bakugo, and Bakugo's not holding anything back from the inslee. Uraraka goes full power, goes full power, and she rushes at Bakugo, making herself lighter, making her move even faster as she begins to fly towards him. As Bakugo refusing to hold anything back against her, he powers up a massive move, but Uraraka is able to touch him because she has the speed advantage. She has the speed advantage. And she's like, oh, as Bakugo's like, oh crap, but he's able to keep controlling himself with his explosions, flying towards Uraraka again. As Uraraka will jump up in the air, punching Bakugo clean in his face. And she's like, oh, as Bakugo's like, oh crap, I knew she was strong, but this punch, it hurts. And he enjoys it. As he gets sent flying out of the ring, but Uraraka fights behind him, grabbing him, placing him gently on the ground. As the audience begins to cheer once again, as Bakugo thought about being angry, but this time he decided not to. As he's impressed as someone that she's actually this strong, and he actually gained a massive amount of respect for her. As the next fight will actually be Todoroki versus the next notable fight, which would be a change from canon once again, would be Todoroki versus Midoriya. With Midoriya having the clear upper hand here, he ends up getting Todoroki to use his fire half much earlier, and Midoriya even begins to coach him how to use it more effectively, since the whole reason for his quick it eliminates the drawback of the other, and Todoroki gets a little stronger here as he lets off one final blast at Midoriya, ice and fire blast at Midoriya. Midoriya is able to go all out, knocking him out of the ring, and from the force of the impact and the power that they had, it actually does end up knocking Todoroki out and unconscious for a bit. But luckily for them, they have Recovery Girl right there. As the rest of the fights that Todoroki and Bakugo would have had in canon goes to Midoriya and Uraraka eventually until they hit the finale. As the crowd began cheering, because two people tied for first place back to back, they want to know how this battle is going to go. As Uraraka was telling Midoriya not to hold anything back, or else he's going to lose. As Midoriya will power up to his full 25% full cow, and his aura ascends, Uraraka does the same. Hopefully I will kill myself while doing this. As Midoriya will ask, hey, what are you talking about? And she yells out a Kaioken times 3 as she rushes at Midoriya, and she even manages to outpace him for a little bit, but she knows his power is fleeting. And she just needs to get one clean hit on Midoriya with the palm of her hand. But Midoriya's not letting this happen because he knows if Uraraka manages to touch him and he loses control of himself even for a couple seconds, she's going to win. And she goes all out as they both power up their own signature energy blast they created. As Midoriya would say, destroy my Cinco, and Uraraka would say, Blossom Blast or Cherry Blossom Blast, as they each hit each other. As Uraraka would begin feeling the drawbacks of the Kaioken, as Midoriya, being a little scared, pushes up a little more power, but we're dropping it significantly. As Uraraka would begin to smirk, as she uses her max power, as she actually manages to push Midoriya out of the ring because Midoriya lowered his power. As she goes up to him, I told you not to hold back, you know. As Midoriya would begin smiling, as he passes out from pain because of the blast, he just get hit back. As the stadium goes wild once more. As Uraraka in this timeline is actually the winner of the UA Sports Festival.